Hey everybody, it's Erin Reed from Erin Reed Makes, and last week we made these really cute fun fold cards. These are three-dimensional fun fold cards, these 3D elements on the top, and they started off, all the papers I used in the background, start off with 6x6 sheets of paper. Well, when I was done cutting for all of these cards, I had a ton of scraps left over that some of these elements and some of these pieces are quite large, even down to even some of the white pieces of paper from when I cut for the fun folds. And link for how to make these pretty cards is down in the information section, so check that out. Along with all the supplies that I'm using for these cards are down below. So I thought, well, I gotta be able to do something with all these scraps. Well, heck yeah, we're gonna make some cards using our scraps. 5, in fact. So one of the things I do is I get out my white sheet of cardstock for my card. I'm just gonna make A2 size cards, and I start pulling together scraps. So I'm like, okay, well, I need a base. And this is just a couple. We're gonna do a couple together, and then I'm just gonna speed through the other ones so you guys can see. So I have my base, and then, looking at my card, how do I wanna arrange this? And then I definitely have to trim this long sheet of paper because it's too long. So I'm gonna trim that real fast. So now I've got my long strip trimmed here. I wanna have this sentiment. I'm gonna probably, I'm also thinking maybe I'll push this up. There's a little design at the bottom. I'm gonna keep that. So let's make this card lots of white space with a pretty little, decor piece at the top. And I even from the previous video had a pen. So you know what? Maybe I'll add a little something so it's not so white and just, come in and add a layer. So I'm not trying to make perfect cards here. And I know that seems kind of odd for me to say that because we always want our cards to look awesome. This is just a way to take scraps and to create, just have fun. And this is how I used to make all my scrapbook pages way back when, was to take elements like this and layer up. And I never liked them where you got them where they were right on top. I always liked kind of making them a little bit off-centered. And I was like, okay, well now it needs to have a vertical element here. Okay, well now it needs to have even a bigger vertical element so I can really kind of see what's going on. So we're just kind of tugging everything into the corner here and embellishing everything up to there. And then here is my tag I want to place. And then I have these little scraps. I thought they were kind of pretty. It's like, oh, well, maybe they'll look cool if they're just kind of tucked in here. And make it kind of a little layered thing happening. But I really love the way that this one looks. I might put that one on top. So just kind of come in, and that's way too long. So I'm going to cut this in half because I'm just going to see a part of it. And then same with this. This is way too long. So let's trim that. Just a little something, just like that. So I thought, since I have all these pretty colors, I also have these amazing flowers from a company called I Am Roses. And so I pulled colors that matched in with the pink tones and the mint tones and the yellows. And so we're gonna create a little cluster. So I'm going to drop this down maybe a little bit and create a tiny little cluster. So I'm gonna go ahead and snip these with my snipping scissors. I don't wanna damage my good scissors, so I'm gonna use my little snippy scissors here because all of these are on a little wire. So I think I'm gonna go with one of these small little minty ones. I'm just gonna do little ones for this card. I think I'm just gonna stick with small flowers. And so maybe I'll do 2 mints, and these are exactly the same. Oh, they're a tiny bit, look, these are a little bit smaller. So we'll do 2 yellows and a mint. So one of the things, because I'm like, oh, I really love the way design is, and I went through and I took time to layer things up, I will come in with my camera and I will actually take a picture. So I will take my phone, take a little snapshot, and then now that I have that just off to the side, I can see, oh, well, that was where I wanted my card to look like. So while I'm assembling it, I can kind of look back because I got to pull all this off now to layer, 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 layer. And I can look at my picture to go, oh, this is where I wanted it. This is how I wanted that. So now it's just a matter of putting all the layers down. So there it is. Now, just because I took a picture and I had the flowers over here to begin with, it does not mean that I have to keep it that way. I actually liked the idea and I played around, and so I moved them to the center. So there's Nothing to say that because you started off with it doing one direction, you have to keep it that way. So there's our first card. Now for all the rest of the cards, the element I'm putting in the center as the main focal point is these 3D images. Now I got these from this book called 3D Die Cut Images from European Paper Crafts. Links are all down below again for the supplies, so you can find that. And basically what you do is you go through and you find the element. So this one actually came from right here. You pop the main piece out. There's some other pieces. I opted not to do the little leaves, but you could. And then it's just a matter of assembling it. So I'm gonna do the first one with you guys to show you how simple and easy it is to assemble these things. All you need to do is have some foam squares. This is a little bit of leftover foam I have made previously. And I'm just gonna cut off these pieces right here because I can still use this big piece and die cut out an element in the future. So all I wanna do is I wanna take this, and this piece fits right like that. So I'm gonna put some pieces of foam kind of on the back of here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut off and layer up, and you just keep on doing the same thing, and then you layer. So the first one goes down. I'm gonna show you without the foam. The first one goes down like this, and then you have an element that like this fits right here like that, and then this piece fits right on top of that. So you just keep adding the elements, and you can see where it kind of fits, and it becomes a layered 3D piece. So I'm gonna speed this part up because it's just about adding foam on there. All done. Look at that, super cool. It's got some really cool dimension to it. It just has this really kind of neat look to it when it's all done. All right, so now it's time to start assembling. I already like the look that I'm having, so I'm gonna go ahead and put all my pieces down. This time I'm gonna keep the back of my card completely white. I'm not gonna add that layer, and I'm going to turn my card the other direction. And I'm gonna have some fun layers. So I'm also gonna take this piece and go vertical with it. Again, line it up a little differently. And I had some white cardstock left over, so why not use that? I already cut all this down to size, using my Xyron tape runner for all of this, making sure I actually line this up correctly because I just misaligned it. So if you give yourself a little bit of, if you do it quickly enough, you can get your strips pulled up before they completely set down with your Xyron. And yes, on the previous card, I also used my Xyron tape runner to do the flowers as well. I mean, it sticks wonderfully for everything. All right, so now I'm just gonna quickly play and decide how I wanna add in my extra flowers and decide where I want to add and kind of embellish further. All right, so the first step is I'm gonna go ahead and put down my Xyron adhesive and stick down my 3D element. Now, the cool thing about my 3D element is it's already got little pieces where I can kind of come in with my flower and just nest it in there. And I did decide I wanted to put my flowers here. So all I need to do is, and this time, because they're a little bit bigger, I'm gonna add, and I want it to kind of puff up, I'm gonna use a tiny bit of glue for this particular scenario. So I have my little glue holder. This is from my Marco, and basically it holds my glue upside down, so all my glue is gonna run down to the bottom. I picked this up when I was at Creativation, and I absolutely love it. So it just kind of holds my glue in that spot, and I'm just gonna come in and put a tiny dab of glue right there, pop that back in so my glue's ready to go when I'm wanting to use it, and then place that. I also wanna have my other little flower right there. And I did keep some of the stems on there because it allows me to kind of push in and tuck my flower and kind of really nest it in there. And so I push the stem through the glue to give it a little bit more of a binding feel. So I want my other flower to go here. And if you notice, I'm keeping my flowers. So here's my little stem right here. Push that through so it fits in. I'm keeping my flowers in sets of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then little 5. Little guy's gonna go right there. Just like that. And we're gonna turn this into a birthday card. So I just really quickly stamped a happy birthday and take my Xyron tape runner, nice and small. The last card already had kind of a sentiment, and this fits perfectly on here. I cut it down to size, so it just fits right there. And we have a beautiful floral birthday card ready. I will use this card specifically because I have a card swap group where you send me cards, I swap them around and send it back. And this month the cards are all about birthday. So if you'd like to join that, the link is down below. All right, the next card I made, I didn't add any extra flowers. I just kept it really simple and went with a vertical orientation. And then the next one, I mean, if you notice, I am kind of keeping the same layout for most of these cards. This one, I did add a couple of extra flowers on here. Again, keeping the same happy birthday stamps. I really didn't pull anything new out for these sets of cards. I really just did use my scraps. The only new thing is I added a few extra new flowers. And the last card, again, another vertical one. This one, again, I didn't add any extra flowers, a little happy birthday down here at the center. Super simple to use up all your scraps. Just layer up, keeping the kind of the same concept for the design for each of these cards, just having some sort of vertical or horizontal and then going opposite with one side of the papers, playing with the layers, keeping it in odd numbers of either 3, 5, 7, 9, something along those lines, just to keep it with the eye, just really kind of cool. Don't forget also the previous week, this is where I had the original cards. These were the flip-flap cards where I pulled all the papers that I got all these scraps from. So truly, out of one paper pack and some of these 3D elements, I was able to get 8 separate cards. Pretty darn awesome. Thanks so much for stopping by, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and that thumbs up would be awesome. And if you'd hit that bell button, you get notifications of new videos coming your way. Thanks everybody, bye-bye.